Hey everybody, I'm Roy Candy.
And I'm Wendy Yee.
And today we're taking a look at Drop Drive, a space exploration pick up and deliver game.
That's right, in this game you're just gonna drop everything and go after it. So Roy's gonna take a minute, he's gonna show you all how it's played, and we'll be back.
Let's do it. All right, this is Drop Drive. This is a space basically pick up and deliver sandboxy style game with a little bit of dexterity elements where basically at the beginning of the game you're going to put the sun in the middle and set the board out, and you're going to drop all of the different resources and the little anomalies out on the board and all of your little fuel tokens as well, and they're just gonna kind of land where they may. You're also going to have set out all of the different planets, which these are your different planets. They're kind of like these D12s, and those are going to be around the board as well, and each player is going to start on their little home world also. And then, yeah, and that's basically how you set up the game. Every player is also going to have their own little ship thing here. They will draw, in the basic game, you draw one of each of these and you kind of start with them. In the advanced game, you draw two and kind of choose. And then you're going to draw three of these exploration cards and choose a couple to keep. I guess we'll kind of go through how all the different things on your ship work. I should mention that each player also starts the game with one of the random captains here. As the green player, I would have these guys here. They have +1 to attack and +1 to their exploration. And there's ones that give you extra specimen spaces, ones that you get to collect some resources at the beginning, and then one where when you do your little drop thing, you get 2 credits. So you want to get a bunch of fuel so you can drop over and over again. But yeah, lots of cool starting captains. All right, so we'll kind of go through a turn here. We'll kind of play as the green player. So the first thing you do on your turn is you activate your pirate. If you don't already have your pirate on the board, you would launch them just by choosing an area and kind of dropping them there. So let's say we drop them here, and then a pirate would activate. So if they're closest to a ship or a kind of resource thing, they will move and grab it. So this pirate would go here and grab this, and then this would be placed on the green homeworld over here. If there was another ship nearby, the pirate would then move to that ship and attack it. Combat's pretty simple. You just roll the die and then add your combat for each side. There's also hailing frequencies where if a ship, anytime a pirate attacks, it's always going to be attacking you. But if you encounter a pirate, you could do hailing frequencies, or if you encounter another player, you could kind of be friendly and allow each other to get resources, but you normally fight each other. But we'll talk about combat kind of a little bit in the future. Okay, so after that, then on your turn, you could activate. I start here as the green player on my green homeworld. I could activate my jump drive, which means that I would kind of like take my guy and jump to another thing. If you look at the front of my card here, it says I can jump to either where another ship is or a planet. And I'm starting here on my green homeworld, and my green homeworld doesn't actually take green cubes, but they're looking for yellow, pink, and blue, and these are kind of the values that they would give me for them. So there's a bunch of green cubes randomly around my starting world, but I do know that the yellow planet over here wants green cubes, so maybe I don't jump and I just go ahead and try to collect some of this stuff. So several things is these are going to be the resources that you're going to be picking up and delivering to the other planets. Then there are space junk. These basically allow you to get extra upgrades when you land on a planet. These are anomalies, and they're basically going to be out there in space, and when you hit them, they're going to kind of trigger an event that can do all sorts of different cool stuff. And then there is also fuel. If you pick these up, this is basically what allows you to do your jump drive. So you have to pick these up to be able to jump in the future, and when you jump, of course, you're going to just be moving your thing. I would have to do it to like a planet, so if I want to jump over here, I just hold above a planet and just kind of drop it. If I moved a ship, it would kind of go back where it was, but then I would just kind of be there. But let's say I didn't do any of that. Maybe I don't want to jump. Maybe I just want to move. So hey, the next part here is I can actually activate my rocket drive. So basically, since I have 5 movement, I basically take this and move it towards the end of this thing here. And maybe I say, hey, I'm going to just start moving towards the yellow planet. And I'm going to basically put this on the edge of my ship here. And be like, okay, cool. I'm going to fly straight through here. And as I do that, I can pick up any of the resources along the way. And any resources that I get are going to have to go in my actual cargo holds on my ship. So I can be like, cool, I can put one of the green here, one of the green here, and then my yellow one here. So yeah, so then I have some resources to hopefully drop off on this yellow planet on a future turn. All right, so let's say on my next turn, I was able to get to that yellow planet. I should mention that the trigger for the end of the game are these little market demand cubes. You'll normally put 4 per player out there, and so that way this kind of like determines the length of the game. Once all of the market demand cubes are gone, then that's basically going to trigger the end game. But if I went here, I have my couple green cubes. I could say, oh, I'm going to give those to the planet, and I'll put this here. And we'll kind of go through all the different planet activations here that would happen in the kind of the middle of the round. The first thing that happens is I would deliver any passengers. So sometimes when you do explorations of the planet and different things, you can find different passengers and they're going to want to be delivered. Like this guy wants to go to the green or the yellow planet. This one wants to go to the blue or the yellow planet, and then they'll kind of give you benefits whenever you actually are able to get them. And these will take up space on your board as well. And if you do that, then you can have passengers to deliver. If you were there and you had them, you would actually deliver them. Then if you had any salvage on your ship, you would be able to turn that in for exploration cards. So you basically draw 1 for each of those you get, and hopefully you could get some cool items to be able to kind of upgrade your ship, like, oh, now I have space for more specimens, or oh, I plus 1 credit each for each pink thing sold at an asteroid. That'd be super awesome. And then we basically could sell to the market, so I could then do that to put my 2 green. Whenever you sell something, you're going to just straight up drop it back on the star here in the middle. So you drop these, boom, and now there's a couple green around the board like that. And it has now used one of the market demand tokens, which is going to basically get closer towards the end of the game. And then we could do the flux core thing here. This says move this planet up to 3 navigation links in any direction. So I could take this, and this planet kind of drifts a little bit, which makes sense. I like games with rotating planets. So we could say, oh, well, maybe next I have green cubes, so maybe I want to go to, or I don't have green, I have yellow. So what takes yellow? White takes yellow, pink takes yellow. I'm kind of too far for that, so we're just going to kind of like move this planet over here. So now the planet has kind of moved as we're playing the game, which is kind of crazy. And then the next thing here is we explore the surface. So then I would look at my ship's kind of exploration rating here. So I would draw 5 of these exploration cards, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I would choose one of those things to keep. Okay, cool, lots of specimens, lots of people that could join me to be able to be delivered to a different planet. That would be cool. And these specimens basically they take up space on your ship, but they also basically have a lot of in-game scoring that can happen. Like this one, the unknown, you just roll a die at the end of the game and you gain credits. Which I should mention that credits are very much the point of this game. So like getting the 3 credit or the 4 credits per thing there means what I would have gotten 8 credits, which of course helps me to win. Then the next thing here is, when you do this, you can either explore or repair your ship. Your ship can be damaged if someone hits you in combat. Any of those cool upgrades we have would have to be flipped, or per amount of damage we took would be flip face down until we stop at a planet. Then we could heal those back up instead of exploring. So that could help fix your ship. And then if you look down here at the bottom, this doesn't actually activate when you go here, but this is the pirate's hold for the yellow player's pirate. So if I defeat the yellow player's pirate, I can get the resources here. Also, as pirates fly around the board, they're going to basically be like collecting a bunch of these resources up, and maybe you want to get those cubes, you're going to have to go and fight that pirate to get those cubes back from them. When another player or another player and another pirate land on the same space, you'll basically encounter that player. And you can do a couple different things. Either A, you could do hailing frequencies, where basically both players, if you choose to both do that and not fight each other, if you don't go with guns, you both would take a couple of the closest crystals, and you would each get one of them and be able to put those in your hold. So you're kind of like trading a little bit there. Or you could come out with guns blazing, and then you would both roll a die, and then you would add any of your combat value to that. 0 is not so great, but if you had 1 or 2 or 3, that'd be awesome. Maybe you'll be a little bit better at combat. You would both roll. Whoever has the higher number would end up doing their difference in damage to the other player. So in this case, the yellow player is wrecking the green player, which could cause them to flip these face down. They can steal resources equal to the number of damage they've done. Or you can also, if one player says, oh, I'm coming guns blazing, the other player could also retreat, which means they would give them resources by retreating, so that way they might not necessarily take a bunch of damage, especially if a player has a much higher combat value than you. They might be a more menace to the whole galaxy there, so you might be having to run away. Next, I want to talk about these anomalies. If you end a turn, when you move into an anomaly, you end your turn and you'll kind of like activate that. These are different events. There's a whole deck here of them. They can be all sorts of different cool things. One of the things here is, oh, there's a Dyson sphere now, and whenever you, it will appear around the sun. So now there's a sphere around the sun, and whenever you go to the sun, you can now get energy. Normally you can never fly through the sun. Or maybe there's a space beast that's going to come out and steal a bunch of resources or things like that. Or maybe there's UFOs that come out. There's a whole bunch of different things that can trigger and happen. Wormholes could happen, so it makes you be able to get around the galaxy more interesting. There's a whole bag of tokens here that correspond to a bunch of these anomalies happening, and a bunch of things that can help with the energy for the Dyson sphere and stuff like that. So lots of cool things, which I'll leave you to discover mostly on your own. But this is a really cool aspect of the game where these are going to trigger different events and kind of change up the map, or maybe change up some of the ways the game is played as you run into these cool different anomalies. And they're kind of sparkly. It's kind of cool. At the end of the game, after all of the market demand tokens are put out, that will trigger the end of the game, and then everybody will have one last emergency landing where you'll kind of like move to the closest planet that you're at. So if you're not on a planet, you'll be able to take basically a planet action real quick to maybe drop off a passenger, or maybe get the last little goods you can for something. And then the only thing you have to do really for in-game scoring is you'll check all of your specimens, and they'll give you different points based off different things. Sometimes you get points for each different type of like a certain type collected, you'll get credits, or maybe certain ones count as all sorts of different types and you'll get credits for that as well. Some of them will be like, oh, for each of these different weights you'll get credits. So these can add to extra credits. And then whoever has the most credits from doing different planets, or maybe doing different things and delivering people, will be the winner of the game. So everybody counts up their score, and whoever has the highest will win in Drop Drive. All right, so that's kind of how the game plays. So let's take a look at what me and Wendy think. All right, so Drop Drive. This is kind of like a space exploration with a lot of like little dexterity elements in it as you're moving around space, trying to collect those things and deliver them to planets is like the main end game of the game.
Yeah.
How'd you feel about the mechanics overall?
I think overall I enjoyed it. So it's got a lot of pieces. It's interesting because the stuff that you pick up, you only pick up a few different things, right?
Yeah.
There's not a lot of variety there. I think what adds a variety in the game is the anomalies, because they are what changes a little thing. So you can make those anomalies little and light so that they're just like a small little thing, or you can make them a big change. And you just determine that before the beginning of the game what you're going to do with that anomaly deck. But I like those big changes.
Yeah.
I like that suddenly energy is more efficient and more available, or I like that suddenly you can have a wormhole jumping from one or another things.
I listen to a lot of podcasts that talk about like futurism and stuff like that in space, so I love the fact that it's like, oh, Dyson sphere now, because in one of the games we played, there was a Dyson sphere and you could go there and get extra energy, and then the wormholes just make it fun, and the fact that you can get different things each game that pop up, and there are all these different spacey elements. I love the attention to detail they've done with all of that stuff.
Very cool. Yeah, the actual like Big Bang effect, do you find that cool, or do you think it's a gimmick?
It's interesting. I mean, it's definitely a dexterity silly game, and I can definitely see people thinking like, oh, it's got too much like random silliness as far as like you're dropping stuff in, and when you do your jumping, like instead of like using the measuring tool, you just drop your guy. And sometimes that can be a little bit frustrating for people if they're trying to get like close to a specific planet. Like sometimes like, oh, I really got to deliver goods over here. I'm going to jump over here and drop. And sometimes you land a little bit further away than you were intending, or like maybe you're like, oh no, now I'm kind of like fighting with this pirate a little bit. That sort of thing can happen in the game. But I think for the like weight of the game and the light silliness of it, I actually quite enjoy it.
That's the thing, is I'm not going to take this super seriously.
Right.
Like, this is a game that has combat. It has a game that has picking up and deliver. You know what I mean? It has all these different things, and some of them I enjoy, some I don't. But this is a light enough game, and I go into it with the idea of this is going to be a little bit silly, a little bit goofy. One
of my favorite games ever is Zaya, and it has that same like aspect of like, oh, you can upgrade your ships and you're picking up stuff and dropping off at planets, but this adds like a little bit more like whimsy, like fun, like dexterity elements added to that fun. I love the little click movement tracker thing, and the fact that you can get upgrades that can make it even longer. Now you can go a little bit further. I do wonder if some people will be annoyed by the preciseness. I know some people don't like template movement games. I love template movement games, so it didn't bother me at all.
And it's
but
that
I love all those
question,
elements.
there's always that question of like, did I quite reach it? Did I quite hit that little thing?
Yeah.
And I say just vote for fun.
Yeah.
Right? Always just in the end vote for fun. So this is a game, I'm going to give this a 7 because I think that there's some fun aspects to it. I like that thematically the planets produce their own stuff, so you don't need to deliver whatever that color is. I think that's cool. Like you said, the little measuring thing. I enjoy the moments where you get to drop, and the building of the ship. I think the engine building on the ship. You have a little endpoint engine. You have the actual like making your ship longer, which looks cool. And then you have the passengers. So I think that there's some good stuff in this game. This is one that I would recommend, and I did think was fun.
Cool. I'm giving this a 7.5. I enjoy the game. I think it's fun. I think it's definitely cool. I could see some people, like I said, the dexterity elements getting on people's nerves, but I enjoy dexterity games. Especially, I enjoy all sorts of different space games. I love the fact that it's also like a race to try to get those different goods on the different planets, trying to like get there before your opponent. It's like, oh no, Wendy got the resources on that. Now maybe I should go and pick up this and drop this off on that planet. And then, of course, the end of the game will be triggered off of dropping these things off of planets, which is really cool as well. But yeah, overall, 7.5 for me.
Well, there you go. That's how we feel about the game. I'm Wendy Yee.
And I'm Roy Canny, and this has been Drop Drive.
Drop it like it's hot.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another video on the Dice Tower. Hey, do you want to know what's going on with Dice Tower? Do you want to know about our events, our cruises, special things that we're going to do live here in the Dice Tower? Subscribe to Dice Tower Digest. Go to dicetowerdigest.com. It's a newsletter that we send out bi-weekly. We won't use your email for anything else. This is just to get you some information about the Dice Tower so you'll be up to date. Thanks for watching.